Hi, Daniel.
Hi, how are you? It is such a pleasure to finally meet you.
Such a pleasure to meet you too. And I know that Frank wants to start this conversation, so I will let him do the entry to this talk. Thank you.
So let me just do a short introduction. Daniel was actually came in through an introduction of Steve from our partners in Canada, the West Coast, who are working on the technical part of our drop. And Steve actually said, listen, Frank, I know this amazing artist, from Los Angeles, and you should really consider him. And so that's how Daniel and I are connected. And since then, actually nearly daily, we are chatting. Daniel is a very well-respected artist living in Beverly Hills. He makes beautiful art for very much the LA and Hollywood type of customers in houses that are often well over $20 million. So just to describe that, describes a little bit on, let's say, the type of art circle and community he is in. Daniel has been reluctant to go into NFTs. He tried and made a first attempt a year ago, but through several reasons that didn't take off well. And that also made him a little bit more anxious to ensure that his entry, he wanted to do it in the right platform with a right group of curated artists. So obviously we are super honored that Daniel really likes the economics or the tokenomics of the MetaArt Club, and also with the amazing talent that we have in our artist lineup. So I've been talking with Daniel nearly daily, an extremely passionate artist, very open, and I think that he is one of the new artists. For instance, same like William Furness, with whom we can better fasten our seatbelts, because once they go out in the new NFT world, I really believe he will be very successful. So again, it's an honor that you give us the trust to make the entry together with the MetaArt Club. And let me now give the word to Olivia, and I am going to listen to this wonderful conversation. So again, Daniel,
fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Frank, you speak so well. I thank you for everything.
Daniel, it's such a pleasure to meet you here today and to have the time to interview you and find out about your practice as an artist. I wanted to start this conversation just by, introducing you as, at our LA-based celebrity artist, Daniel Maltzman, because obviously you have a prolific career behind you. And I know that the MetaArt Club collectors would love to hear about your career from you and how you have now transitioned into the NFT space. So could you give us a little bit of a trajectory of your career as an artist?
Yeah, my career is pretty interesting. Like about almost 30 years ago, I've always painted and always drawn and always had art in my blood. And it's just something I love to do. And I think that in life, when you can do something that you enjoy and it's part of something that is your everyday life, you're one of the luckiest people in the world. So I honestly feel that because I have this and this is my life and this is my work, and I get to do it every day and be creative and come up with all kinds of different things constantly, I'm one of the luckiest people on earth to be able to do this. And when I started, I went to art school, but for a short time. It was Santa Monica College. And then I went to San Diego State. I always studied art, and those were the easiest classes for me. So I didn't love school, but I did love the art. So I learned a lot there. And then afterwards, a couple of years went by. I didn't really get into the art world. And then all of a sudden, I started really getting serious and painting a lot. And before I knew it, I had a couple of galleries that were sorting me out and wanted to work with me. And they were in the Palm Springs area. So I got pretty active out there. My parents had a home out there, and I developed some great relationships with a lot of different people that are either running the galleries or selling supplies for my canvases and my paints and everything else. And I got to be pretty well known out there in that area. I did a lot of Marilyn Monroe paintings. That was one of the things that were pretty hot out there. And a lot of abstract at the time. And also some shadow figure painting, which are a big part of all that stuff. I always continue throughout my career too. So there's newer and older versions of all those types of paintings as well. So after that, I found a little space. I first worked in my home. And when it got to be a little bit too crowded and there's too much going on to live here and to work here, I found a little space that was, 1,000 square feet. It was in Culver City, and it was in the back of a place that was a Boy Scouts meeting area. And I took just their garage area and leased it from them. They wanted to make a few extra bucks. I think it was $500 to begin with. And I started building these little studio spaces. And from there, when that lease went out, I found like a 3,000 square foot space. And when that lease went out, I found a 5,000 square foot space. And when that went out, I found a 10,000 square foot space. And continuously, I kept upping the game and increasing the size and the ability to be able to do a lot of things that, you need to have the space in order to really do it. You can't be cramped up and have that creative flow. It's really, really important to have that investment and to have a place to store the paintings, because they're so sacred to me that I don't want them to get banged up and damaged. And that's another thing that's really important. I call my paintings my little babies, and they mean a lot to me. And I've been doing this for almost 30 years now.
Amazing.
I also had a gallery in Beverly Hills. It was called the Daniel Maltzman Gallery, and it was on Beverly Drive in Wilshire, probably one of the most incredible locations that anybody could ever have. And I had that for about 4 years. I made contacts from people all over the world. And that's one of the things that really brought about my Art Makes the World Go Round, because this conversation that we're having now, this new friendship with you and me, Olivia, and me and Frank, and all these other people that we'll be meeting and connecting with, is the most important thing about what we do. It brings the world together. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, because we all have different ideas and we all have different things that move us. And I think it's really important for us to all connect and share those things and share those experiences together as well.
Absolutely.
I've also done a couple of TV shows. I was the bachelor on a show called The Millionaire Matchmaker. And my thing that I did for the girl in the show was interesting. At the end of our show, after I had picked her over 20 other girls as my date, I surprised her with a painting of her, blindfolded her, got her into a limo, and brought her over to my studio. And she saw this painting of her that no one's ever done anything like that in her life for her before. And it was just a fantastic ending to what that show was. And
Wow.
a couple of other shows here and there, which kind of, introduced me to a lot of, this kind of communicating and being able to work with the camera, which I really like a lot.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, for outlining, how your career has kind of just gone from strength to strength in this really interesting way. And I wanted to ask, you're born and raised in Beverly Hills, but you have obviously these other influences around you, and you haven't always been in the art world. So you made a brave leap at one point, which, can you just touch on that? Like your pre-artist life?
Yeah, I was miserable working for my father. I used to have to drive downtown, and I would work basically selling carburetors. So he'd put me on a plane, and I'd have to go all over the country. And it was a good learning experience. I traveled a little bit and worked real hard, but let me tell you, nothing was worse than having to drive an hour, go downtown in a place where I didn't want to be. And it just stifled my creativity in my life. So I did that for about 3 or 4 years. And then after that, I moved on to a business that I created. It was called Invest. And I made vests. And I worked on that with large companies like Ann Taylor. I was private labeling and selling a lot of those vests with her label on it. And then I had kids vest, and it was very creative because most of the vests had patches on them. I actually have them right here in my closet. Let me show you really quick. Give you a quick little, let me turn this around. Yeah, here's, so these here, you can see the sides of them.
Yeah.
And they're all different patterns. So I used to go,
Cool.
I'd source out all the material. These were the Ann Taylor ones.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. I just kind of keep them from it. Look at these. These are great. These are all these things combined together.
Wow.
And everybody wanted them when I was doing them. So from the clothing thing, I went into the nightclub business, and I was promoting with a couple of friends of mine, and everybody had to have a Maltzman vest. it was pretty fun. We had a good time with it.
So you went into the nightclub scene from being a fashion entrepreneur. So and then, you know, how did that transition into the underground scene of LA kind of inform your work as an artist? Were you practicing art in parallel?
Yeah, towards the end of it, I started doing shows in different places, and one of them was in a high-end like restaurant. And that's like my first big show. And I had people like Shaquille O'Neal was there, and a couple of other really cool people, and it was fun. And I just I don't know how, but when you do something and you get a reaction from people and they're like, oh my God, wow, I love your stuff, and you start getting that over and over and over, not only does it make you feel good, but it makes you feel like you want to keep going in that direction, and you want to keep working, and you want to do as much as you can to just get it bigger and better constantly. So my thing is, I'm always trying to like take things to the next level. So this NFT thing is 100% the next level with everything. It's absolutely incredible what's going on. Frank, I didn't tell you, but the guys that I originally was going to do the stuff with Tom Brady and the NFT and the paintings that I made for him, recently I found out that one of my good friends is part of their deal, and he's a small owner of the company. So I actually have a meeting with them that, as long as it's good with you and with Steve and everybody, we might be able to also do something with an NFT with Tom Brady with his signature.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting, and I think that's going to help the brand a lot too.
So Tom and his wife Giselle are now the ambassadors for FTX. So I guess that's,
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that. They also have a company called Artograph,
right?
And they're basically selling NFTs with a lot of celebrity, mainly sports athletes, and a lot of it is signatures. So I have these two paintings that I did of Tom Brady almost a year ago now. I had someone try to bring me into it, but I don't think they had enough. Their position wasn't high enough to really do anything, but they kind of lied to me and told me to do it. So I made two unbelievable, beautiful Tom Brady paintings. And when my friend showed it to Tom, and this other guy's name is Rick Rosenfeld, they were like, holy shit, get a meeting with him. So we have a meeting on the 19th. It's a Zoom call, and they're going to let me know what the interest level is on that too.
That's incredible. How exciting.
One thing always leads to another. It's crazy. It's really funny. It's really funny how That's why you always have to treat people right. And there's no scamming in this business. Your reputation is everything. Like as soon as you mess one person up and don't do the right thing, all of a sudden you're done. You're finished in this business. And
Right.
I never want to, you know, I just like to treat people the best that I possibly can, so that when people talk about me, all they're going to be able to do is have good things to say.
Yeah, that's a really incredible life ethic as well as a work ethic.
Yeah, that's my biggest, I told Frank, that's my biggest life ethic is I want to be the nicest guy in the world. Don't have to be the richest, don't have to be the smartest, but I know I can be the nicest, and that's how I live my life and always have.
That's a good place to be.
It sure is. It makes you feel good. Makes you feel really good. It's a great thing.
It's interesting, Daniel, that you talk about kind of your this accidental NFT moment where you got an opportunity that's now going to spiral into another opportunity in a more substantive way, and you're feeling it now, which is really, really interesting. And I just wanted to ask you, you know, you are in the heart of Beverly Hills, you're in California, which probably has the highest concentration of crypto entrepreneurs / whales / and you know, you have an incredible collector base already. So can you tell us about your, you know, how your collectors have really informed your work, and you know, how you see this influencing your transition into the digital space?
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is, especially because of who you have that's working with you, when Frank told me that Phillips Auction House, Sotheby's, or Christie's is being involved in this, in 2 seconds, I think I can have my entire list of people are going to have an interest and are going to want to try to, you know, buy into the club and buy NFTs as much as they can, because this is something that when you put that name behind it, it turns it into blue chip art. And that's what I told Frank I was so excited about when he told me that he's got the big boys behind him like that. That just changes everything, because it becomes blue chip art. Without it, at this level right now, I haven't released any NFTs. I haven't done anything. And I've been waiting. Like you said, it wasn't like I'd ever tried to do anything. Nothing was ever tried. I never put out any NFTs, but I put out a couple of relationships with NFTs. But when I met Frank, I just felt in my heart that this is the guy I want to do this with. This is definitely the place I want to be. And when he mentioned, and when Steve told me there was a group of 35 artists, I was like, bring it on. That's perfect, because I don't need to be just a one-man show and come out with my first NFT and not have something like really, really special. Hey, you have to start somewhere. And when you're starting, you want to start at the top. So that's why I chose to work with Steve and you. I think you guys are probably the best of what I've seen.
So I wanted to just jump in, Daniel, and ask you about your practice, because your work is so prolific and beautiful, and you're welcome. We can't pin you down as a portrait guy or a graffiti artist, or, you know, you have such versatility to your work.
I'm so happy that you say that. You're making tears in my eyes, seriously, because I like diversity. I don't want to be that artist that you just look at and you're the same freaking thing every day. Just, that would kill me. That would bore me, just over and over and over and over the same thing. What I love about what I do is my creativity, my ability to, like, here you can see the airplanes.
Oh, I love those. Amazing.
Yeah. And then you can see a girl with a cool geometric aspect of it.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
then you can see, here's a little astronaut with the airplane. And then over here, you can see one of the beautiful, fantastic, large scale woman face. And then over here, I love this. This is probably my new favorite one, which I was telling Frank would be a really cool NFT.
That's super cool.
And
that
I'm
is
really excited about
amazing.
these diamond heads. I think are really special because they create an anonymity in the person. And it's not like anybody particular, but I think they're really cool. And in the NFT space, I think you have to have something that's cool and different and edgy. And I think that these diamond heads really have something interesting that are involved with them. Like if I look at this painting here, and it's got the diamond head, I think it's more interesting than something like this that just has a face on it.
Right. Yeah, I love that idea. It's
Yeah.
such a cool concept.
Yeah,
also,
and it's really cool because with the NFTs, we can do the diamond heads in however many colors we want to do. I put sunglasses, I'll show you on my computer. This is some stuff that I was working with this week after I talked to Frank and got kind of excited about doing the diamond head stuff. Let me find this file. I just had it. Oh boy.
It's such a bonus seeing your part of your space, Daniel, as part of this interview, and thank you for showing us.
Of course. This is like my home I share with my friends, but not with the world. So this is one.
Oh, wow. That's super cool.
And I think like people are going to eat these up as NFTs.
Yeah.
And they're a mix. Here's another version.
Oh, wow.
And we can go all day long with creating diversity within them.
That's beautiful.
And I think they could also be programmed where with an NFT, here's another neat one. This one, wow. I incorporated my shadow figures in the body, but I don't want to bore you guys and show you my art. Let's get on with this.
Not at all. Can I just, and I really lovely parallel diamond heads and diamond hands, because you know in the crypto space there's this term diamond hands that is all about crypto success. So I don't know whether you've done that.
Oh wow.
But it's really
I'm gonna put diamond hands on the diamond heads. And I wanted to do like diamond necklaces and diamond earrings. Yeah, I think the whole diamond is definitely a great concept.
So Daniel, I wanted to ask you about the different influences in your work. You know, I'm looking at your incredible shadow figures, and you've got, you know, these stunning
Giacometti speaks.
Yes.
Giacometti moved me from the time I studied art till now. And I love, like, I just do these little shadow figure things. I'll pull out when we're at the end of the discussion, you let me know, and I'm going to do a drawing for you live on my iPad, and I'll show you what I love to do all the time.
That's so
very
cool.
Giacometti inspired little figures.
But on that note, Daniel, you know, you work in the physical realm, but you're obviously really comfortable working in the digital realm as well.
Very much.
Yeah, and I can see that, and that's a natural process for you. But how do you kind of, you know, how do you work? What's your working practice? Because you have these huge canvases, and you obviously, your work is really tactile and vivid and painterly, and yet you're also really comfortable stepping into this digital realm and creating on an iPad. So can you just give us a little bit of a you know, an insight into your working practice?
Yeah. A lot of what I do, like before I do any painting, like it's funny, you take this painting over here, and this was created by one of my best friends. He has his own airplane, and it resides in his home in Wyoming. And we were FaceTiming on my phone, and I did a screenshot, and I took the screenshot of his airplane, and then I took that and played with my diamond head girl, played on the computer, found a couple images for the sizing so it makes it work and it fits onto the project that I'm working on. I then go into Photoshop and I make it so that it's what I want to see when it's finally painted. So that is my drawing board for creating every painting that I'm doing. And I always first put something together on the computer. And like all those ones I showed you on the computer, I could turn those all into physical paintings if I wanted to. That's my process.
It sounds like the way that you articulate your working practice, that you actually begin in the digital realm and then transfer that into the physical realm. So now this is almost like, you know, we're returning you to the source, or you're returning to the source, which is really, really interesting.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's why I knew when I talked to Frank, I could definitely do whatever he wants digital, because half of what I do, it all starts digital. So what's the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. And Daniel, you've mentioned, I read somewhere about your prolific work ethic. How do you work? I mean, are you working on different projects at the same time?
Yeah, I am constantly working on 4 or 5 things at a time. I have a nice, large, comfortable studio that I'm able to put things aside, a lot of paintings really need time to dry. The drawing process, like if you're working on one piece constantly, you can't do it, because you'll muddy it up and you'll lose all the essence of all the beautiful colors, because you have to be patient when you're painting. And if you're not patient, you'll lose all the good stuff. We call it getting muddy. And I don't like when the paintings get muddy. I like them vibrant. I like them clean. I like them to dry. And by doing that, I can work on, a handful of things all at one time.
Okay, amazing. And in your art, you've got these multiple influences. So you've got street culture, you've got celebrity, you've got kind of stars of silver screen, stage and screen. Can you give us an outline, Daniel, of where you draw your inspiration from, and has that changed over time? Are you looking at other things now?
It doesn't really change. I mean, everything in my everyday life is what really draws me to what I'm painting. So I can see a sunset that's gorgeous, wake up in the morning or afternoon or whatever it is and go, wow, I want to create this into a painting. I'll take a picture of it. I'll then transfer that picture into a physical painting of what that sunset is. I can see an animal. I can see a beautiful dog that I just go, wow, that would just make the most beautiful painting. And then I'll play with it and tweak it and, do something fun with it. And then that's another inspiration. But one of the reasons, Olivia, why I do have a lot of styles is I think people get too caught up with one thing. And like I said earlier, it gets boring to me. But on the other hand, everyone has different tastes. One person may like one thing, but they may not like something else. So why not have a number of things to give them choices of what they want? And it's funny because sometimes I'll let people come to my studio, and when they look around, they won't like something and they'll like something else. And I always try to go, oh, pick the one that I don't care so much about, because then it's like everybody's got their own loves and the ones that are interesting to them. So it's fun. And also lately, what I've been doing after COVID, I acquired some fantastic relationships with some real estate brokers, and they've got houses between 20 and $100 million. And I have done probably 15 houses since COVID. And I've made more sales this year and last year than I've had in my entire career, because when they sell the house, I meet the owners of the house, and they're all very, very, very wealthy people. And they usually really like the art. And either they'll buy all the art that's in the house and it's a big number, or they'll buy a couple pieces or whatever it is, but I'll establish relationships. And when I go into that house, I can do 5 different styles of something, or 2 or 3 different styles of something. It's not like you're just putting the same thing on every wall, and it gets kind of boring that way. But I think by doing this and having all these different types of styles, it's a huge advantage for working with these homes and putting these together.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, I was going to say that the developers are really lucky that they have an artist like you to work with, because I'm sure that, you know, a more vanilla artist or an artist with less versatility wouldn't be selling their properties in the same way, you know, because it's all part of that wow effect.
Oh, yeah. And the funny thing is, the ones that they want the most, like I'm working with this house, I don't want to brag, but it's an $80 million house. And there's some pretty major art in there. I mean, it's more commercial, like Retina and Mr. Brainwash, and I think Murakami is in there. But they have 1 or 2 of my pieces that are in this house. We didn't do the whole house with mine because it was too much of a major home, and they wanted the diversity of other artists, which I don't blame them. I would do the same thing. I wouldn't, you know, put one artist in the whole house, no matter how diverse the work is, if it's that kind of house. And it's so funny because what they chose was almost like my bases, non-figurative, just like if you look at the way that these paintings are done and you see the texture and everything, that's what they wanted. They wanted just plain, simple. So I did one of them. I'll send you a picture of it. It's 8 feet by 6 feet, and it's got a lot of like golds and white. And I've had a few people see this painting and they've been like, wow, this is really something special. But I'll send you a photo of that. When we're done, make sure that you send me a WhatsApp so I can communicate with you too.
Perfect. I'd love that.
And also, I'll let you know right now, no bullshit. Anytime you need to get a hold of me, whatever, this is absolutely #1 priority, even over the $80 million house. This is #1 priority in my career right now.
That's incredible. And Frank will be so happy to hear that. I know that.
He knows that. We've been talking every day. What a great guy. I mean, this is only 2 people of the team that I've met. I'm sure it's just a splendid team.
Yeah, he's incredibly passionate. And
where are you from?
Originally from London.
Okay.
I've been in Hong Kong now for but most of my adult life.
I've never been to Hong Kong, but I hear it's probably one of the cleanest and most beautiful places on earth.
It is.
And London I've been to, but it's really funny. When I was in London, I flew out there and I was supposed to go with my friend on his father's yacht. And we were going to go from south of France all the way to Spain to Ibiza.
Amazing.
And it was funny. One of your London locals, Petra Ecclestone, I was dealing with her designer, and 2 days before I left for the trip, they wanted to buy a bunch of pieces for the house that they had in Bel Air. And it ended up that the only way I could have made the deal was to fly back home and meet her and put the deal together, which I did. And I blew off the trip on the yacht, but I ended up getting into the collection of the Ecclestone family, which is really nice. So Bernie and Petra were clients of mine, which I think is another big plus on stuff that I could put on my resume.
Absolutely. And that's testament to your work, Daniel. So congratulations.
Thank you.
It's always there. London is always there. So
yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. And the yachts in the south of France and everything else is always there too.
They're always there. Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to actually make a parallel between, the different styles of your work, and what I'm seeing in our stable of 35 artists in the digital space, it seems like artists are much more comfortable exploring, you know, different creative expressions, and they don't want to be pigeonholed by one or two styles. So it seems like that's another really amazing, you know, natural part of your process that is just going to translate so seamlessly into the digital space.
Yeah, for sure. But I do think, honestly, I think that the diamond heads are going to give us an ability to do like so many different things. Like the big wheel that I showed you in my room, that could be an NFT with the diamond head on it. And we do something where the same thing as the airplane with the diamond head can be something. And there's a lot of versatility, not only from the diamond head being repeated, but by using the diamond head on various transportation vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I've done it on like motorcycles, airplanes, big wheel, skateboards, all kinds of different things. And that's pretty much what I've been working with lately. And I've been finding it a lot of fun and a lot of interesting. And I think people are really liking that, in that, just the fact that they're so different. Like no one, it might be close to John Baldessari when he did his heads. There were circle heads and they were all one color. And if you look at, do you know Baldessari's work?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so Baldessari did these because I've had a few people come to me and go, looks like you took a little something from Baldessari. I said, I know Baldessari, but when I was doing these, it had nothing to do with trying to take Baldessari's work and using it. It was just coincidental that, you know, good minds sometimes think alike.
I think I completely agree. And I think it's really almost impossible for an artist not to be iterative in some way. I mean, it's all visual motifs that, you know, we're all human. We're referencing everything, you know,
couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. So I wanted to just say that, you know, the way that I observe from talking to you, Daniel, it just seems like you're fearless and you're not plagued by artist creative block, which is an incredible gift. I mean, some of the artists I speak to struggle with that. Others just say, look, if I show up to my practice every day, whether or not I'm feeling inspired, something will happen. And even if it's not the greatest thing I ever did that day, it leads to something else that then is something amazing. So how does that work for you?
Yeah, you know what, Olivia, I don't like to waste time. I like to do something that I know is going to be successful, and it's something that I think is going to work. And I try a lot of different things, and sometimes they don't work, but I put my best foot forward. I work as hard as I possibly can, and I put my artwork as my number one priority with my life, whether it be anything. And therefore, it kind of keeps me following the dream and keeps me grounded and keeps me not going all over the place. Because I mean, I do a lot of different types of things, but I do stay in the same lane for a while once I get into that lane. And I try to, I don't like wasting time. I like to make sure that if I'm doing something, it's going to work. It's going to be something that I'll make it work no matter what I have to do to make that piece work. But it's not, I don't paint just to kill time and to punch into a clock and no, that's not that's not me. And I don't even paint for the money. I'm a wealthy person. I've been very lucky throughout my life. I've made really good investments. I've made friends with a lot of people that I've actually either traded art for and turned that into great financial gains. One of my best friends just sold his company for $5.5 billion. And the coolest thing about it is I made a painting of him and his wife, and I traded it for stock in one of his other companies, which was a 10X.
Okay.
And this new one was like a 100X or more. It was crazy. But making these friendships and being able to take the money and invest it into something that I believe in and that I have relationships with has been really, really nice. So, but it's not the money. I don't do this for the money. I do this because I love doing it, and I love to bring the art to all over the universe. I don't, this isn't just for me. This is something that I think that God put me on this earth to move this stuff around and to show people and to to be a part of the big art world.
Yeah, that's incredible, Daniel.
Yeah.
And it's obvious by the way you describe what you do that it's not just for the money, and that you're just completely inspired and immersed in your inspirational kind of practice.
It's exciting. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Like I get, like when I'm selling art or when I'm showing people's art, they can tell. They're like, this guy ain't full of shit. He loves what he's doing. And it's like when I'm selling a painting, I'm like, you sure you want that one? Because then I start looking at it and going, I like that one. I don't want that to go.
Well,
That's the hardest part. That's the hardest
Yeah.
part about my business is I really get attached to this work. And it's funny, I constantly move the art around my house. I have a truck, an F-150, and I drive it back and forth all the time. And I'd say every 2 weeks, you'll have a whole new entire like art studio inside my house. And I get to experience my own little gallery throughout my house.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's really
It's
amazing.
fun. Yeah, it's really, really fun.
Well, when you described your artwork as your babies, I mean, I can see that you have that real connection, and it must be difficult if you love a work and you put so much into it. If it's a really special one that you then have to kind of let it go.
Oh yeah, and especially a lot of art, you can't recreate it. It's like
Right.
when you do it, the next one that you do, it's going to be different. It's going to be different. Even these that you're looking at over here, they look like they can be, almost cookie cuttered, but they're still different every time you do it. Your colors are different. It's just different. But that's what makes it challenging as well too, because when someone sees something and they like it and they want you to do something like it, you have to change it enough where you're not repeating the same piece. Which in the past, I as my immature artist business, when I started, I would repeat paintings that I liked and do them over and over and over and over. Like I probably had 50 Marilyn Monroe paintings, and I probably had 20 or 30 art thieves, which is one of my favorites because I love it, because it's a girl that's dressed with gloves on and boots on, and she's stealing a painting, and inside the painting is one of my paintings. So I call her the art thief. And there's a lot of different versions and variations of her. And she's another one that could be a fun NFT if we decided to do like an art thief diamond head. Might be really cool.
That's super cool.
But yeah, my juices are continuously flowing because I know how important it is to have something that people are gonna, not just, it's got to be collectible. Like I've got a lot of really, really good friends that are in the crypto space, and they've been in for a long, long, long time. And they're clients of mine with my art, and they've been following, they bought Bitcoin when it was at $100. So they've been lucky. But those are some of the people I want to get into your club. And I'll push those relationships forward to you and Frank, and we'll get them to join the club. But the one thing with these guys is, if we have Sotheby's or Christie's or Phillips behind us, then they're going to want to buy, they're going to buy out these things. They're going to go crazy. If we don't have that, these guys, they're such like this type that it makes it really, really tough. Hang on a second. Yeah. The other thing is I live in this incredible building that no matter, they're um, they're always accommodating, whatever needs to be done. So it's really
Yeah.
nice.
Do they have really large lifts that you can move your artworks up? And
they have an elevator that's not bad. I can get an 8-foot by 6-foot in there max.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And I don't really move those around that much.
Yeah.
I really primarily work with like 6-foot by 5-foot and 4-foot by 5-foot are my physical sizes that I've pretty much been working with for years and years.
I see. Okay. And Daniel, I want to just circle back to the last bit of our conversation where you were talking about the crypto community that are your friends. And I just wanted to, I guess, ask you, do you think that we're living in a digital renaissance in terms of art? And, these
100%. People don't even care about physical art anymore. They just want the investment, and they want the chance to hit the right crypto piece and to get the NFT that's going to be one of the whales. And there's so much hype and there's so much energy and there's so much investment going on with this right now that I can't believe it. I mean, I've had friends of mine, one of my friends has a company, it's called Start Engine, and he would have conferences in Santa Monica at a place called the Fairmont Hotel. So they had like 5,000 people there, and he would bring me in, and I did probably 10, 12, 15 crypto paintings that were there. And this was in 2017.
Wow.
So I was the crypto artist at that time, but physical before the NFTs were really kicking in. So I did like a painting that said "Crush It with Crypto," another one that was Ethereum's, all done in like a really cool abstract style, but it was like a repetitive Damien Hirst type of thing with all Ethereums throughout the whole thing. And another one is the HODL thing that they joke around and they say, "Hold on, dear life."
Yeah.
So I did a painting that has the HODL thing, and it's HODL, and I write "Hold on, dear life." Then I did a whole bunch of like Richie Rich type, but related to Bitcoin only. And there's probably a series of 15 of my paintings that still exist that are from that time that I had those paintings at that show.
That's incredible. So you were ahead of the curve, Daniel.
Way, way, way ahead of it. And the thing is, I even had a show that was a crypto show, and that was in 2017. It was a one-man show at a gallery that I owned in Culver City. And it was too bad because it was a rainy night and a lot of people didn't show up, but we still had enough where I got a couple of people that gave me Bitcoin and purchased their painting with Bitcoin. So that kind of got me started. But the bummer is I didn't have enough belief in it at that time. So I watched all these guys that I'm talking about make ridiculous, like hundreds of millions of dollars, some of these guys. It's unbelievable how successful they have become just from believing in Bitcoin and even Ethereum. We were looking at Ethereum. I was looking at it when it was $100.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I could have afforded to buy a lot of it. I never did. I bought a little, but I didn't realize that it was going to be what it is now. And now I'm a big believer. Now I'm starting to invest a lot more. I've put some money aside and picked up some different cryptos. And I've got a couple smart people that I've given some money to and given them a percentage so they can invest it for me. And now I'm a little bit in the game, and I haven't really started buying my NFTs yet. I'm just getting warmed up, but that's coming next right now.
I was going to ask you about that. Are you an NFT collector?
I will be, and I'll be a big one. But the thing is, when I do something, I like to really study it and know that I want to know the space before I really go in.
Right.
And you know, I don't want to buy these NFTs that are like 0.002 Ethereum, and then they'll never be worth, you know, anything. But I'd love to find some of the good ones that I think are possible future investments and more blue chip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then actually on that matter, I have a kind of a question. Because Daniel, this space is so young. You talk about maybe February, March when it really started to attract attention. So don't you think that within those 0.02, let's say, ETH artists, there is some amazing talent out of there? So
I think you're right, Frank.
I
think you're going to find some of them, but I honestly think that if you get the more expensive ones, you're going to find real talent that you're going to have, instead of having gains that might be, you know, 10x or 15 or 20x, you might be able to find gains that you can get, you know, 50 and 100x.
Yeah, sure. But
I mean, it's like anything else. It's like there's a reason why things are more expensive, usually because they're better. And if you can find artists that are very inexpensive and you get them early enough, hell yeah, that's amazing. That's the best. But I think your chances of buying things like, I'm not going to buy a Bored Ape, or I'm not going to buy a Crypto Punk at $1 million or $500,000 or 300,000, but maybe a generative squibble or something that might. I almost bought one when it was like 30,000. I think they're going for a ton now, but it's more about.
I get you. I get you totally. But I also ask you this question because I think in the curated lineup of 35 artists which we have, there are some amazing artists. We are so proud about it, but they are just starting. And obviously, it's also one of our goals is that we can give them the platform to shine. And if, as a group of artists and as a MetaArt club, we can all, you know, connect and be close to each other. I think we can really help each other in our careers.
Oh, yeah. Frank, I couldn't agree with you more. If there's a NFT that I like, and it's something that I love the art and I like the artist and I want to support that artist, I don't care if it's the smallest amount of Ethereum, I'll buy it. I think that's very, very important, is to support the other artists that are doing it. But also, there are a lot of diamonds in the rough, like what you're talking about, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, that's definitely one of the goals. And we have some amazing artists that already made it. But we also have some amazing artists which we believe will, you know, really benefit from the whole friendship that we are creating as a team.
Hey,
so actually,
you know
on
what?
that note, Daniel,
Frank,
yeah.
Me being one of those, let me tell you, I haven't hit the NFT market yet. So let me tell you, I feel so lucky and so honored to be a part of the 35 that it's something that I wouldn't be able to do this without you.
Yeah, so actually that's also why we are so thrilled to have you on board, because what you are doing and your past, your amazing artwork that you already have creating and now going into the digital space, that is actually what is one of the main purposes, and that's what we all want to be. That's what we want to be about. So we are truly honored and so happy to have you on board. And from my side, Daniel, you know, we talk every day. And I know once we meet each other in LA or Hong Kong, we will be buddies. And but you know, I'm super glad you're on board. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Frank, for those wonderful closing comments. And Daniel, I guess, you know, the sky's the limit from here, really, in terms of showcasing your works in the Metaverse Museum. We have a plot in Decentraland, so we will be showing your works to our collector base. And that's the next stage. So it's all, you know, go from here.
Yeah, and I want to do whatever I can do to help you guys promote this club, and maybe I'll throw a little something on my website, and you tell me whatever I can do to help. I also do a ton of stuff for charity. I'm a big believer in giving back, because
Amazing.
I don't think that we choose where we're born or who our parents are, or whether or not we're, you know, homeless, or whether we're living in a palace. I think that's just like the luck of the draw. And I feel like I've been one of the luckiest people in the world to have great parents. Oh, pardon me. Here comes Brady. Oh, no, this is Gretzky. Thanks so much. I'll show you guys something really cool. You could just spin it around.
See it.
Thanks so much, buddy. Look at this.
Wow.
Let's turn that the other direction. Just
Look
flip
at that.
it. Other way. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. That's Wayne Gretzky. And I'm going to get Wayne to sign that, because he's
Amazing.
friends with a whole bunch of buddies of mine that they play golf together.
Okay.
So this is going to probably be something that, as long as it doesn't conflict with what I'm doing with Steve and everything else, this will probably go to the autographs, and it'll probably end up, thanks so much, buddy. And it'll probably end up being a very special NFT.
It's incredible. What a work.
Yeah,
So
it's neat.
Daniel, on that note, just thank you so much for your time today. You've been so generous with your time and, you know, with your energy for this call. And
oh yeah, like I told Frank, anytime, whatever it is, I'm always available for you guys. This is priority right now, and we only have like less than a month away before this thing, you know, gets into action. So I'm a believer in, when I do something, I put everything I have into it, and I want to make it as good as it possibly can be, because we want this thing to shine and to just, you know, the rocket ship, it's got to go to the moon.
Thanks so much, Daniel. Thanks, Olivia.
Absolutely, guys.
Thanks
Olivia,
so much.
thank you. So nice to meet you too.